All right. Try number 2. The first time we tried recording this, I was an idiot and didn't realize I was recording my friends here. But now that it seems like everything is working, hello, everyone. Welcome to episode whatever. I think we're like 18, 19 of the Dorks podcast. It's been like over a year and a half, so who's keeping count at this point?
Recording for
Anyways,
the first time for the last time.
exactly. As always, I am your host, Stacy Snackies, followed with my two co-hosts, McBee
Hello, how's it going? Thank you for listening.
and Dan.
Hey.
Hey. So, gentlemen, what the fuck were we talking about last time? Or just now earlier, because I kind of forgot after I panicked. I was like, fuck, it's not recording. We're talking about...
Asking if we had been to any GPs and what we thought about like Magic as of late.
Oh, yeah, and like how Wizards of the Coast has been kind of killing off the GP model over the past few years and have been leaning more and more on Arena and using Arena as their main marketing machine, and pretty much how, you know, that doesn't really seem like it's that... While yes, it does seem like a good idea in terms of like, you know, it doesn't cost as much money, right? Because they're not making money with GPs. It's the event organizers themselves that are making the money, like the CFB events, and before the monopoly, it was like the Cascade games and whatever. But Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast, they make nothing off of it because it's just purely a marketing machine in general.
Yeah, but you got to pay for it, man. You got to put it out there. I mean, just cranking out product is all fine and good, but you also have to have like outreach and support. And the more you can like be in front of your players, and the more you can connect with them, and the more you can frankly like support and do good for them, the more they're going to be invested in your game, because it's like it's kind of a two-way street. That's my brand new cat that just fell off the table. I hope he's all right.
Aw.
They're going to be just fine. But you have to connect with your people, man. You have to connect with the folks that are buying your cards, and that means not just like keeping your distance from them and just, you know, talking to the small like angry mob of people on Twitter that play your game and are on there like flaming you all the time. You got to talk to the people that are happy. You got to talk and make some inroads with people so they can be happy.
Do you guys, let me ask you this. Do you guys like watching tournaments that are in paper or on Arena?
I'm very picky with my tournaments. I only like watching the staple pros like your Paulos and your LSVs and your Seth Manfields playing. And in that, with that context, I've never watched an Arena tournament. I've only seen paper tournaments, so that's where my bias is. What about you?
Oh, new kitty.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean?
As somebody like I've been on camera one time, and I'm glad that I was able to actually get on camera for that. Like, but that was a Star City Open, so you know it's kind of a third party that's making it happen. But like, I'm glad that I was able to have that experience. But realistically, like what I like to watch, I would probably rather watch like Arena happen, because Arena is like really fast paced, and you don't really have all the time for shuffling and all that other stuff. Like that's a bonus.
Yeah.
It really is. But
Yeah, I agree.
A masterful, like old format, like a modern or something that takes a little more time and a little bit more,
Where
like a little more thought.
Thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, like people are tanking on brainstorms and fetches and stuff like that. Hey, buddy.
And shuffling the deck actually gives, you know, commentators an ample opportunity to explain like why you want to save your fetch land after you crack a brainstorm or whatever and whatever.
Yeah, versus Arena is just like
that right there is the number one reason why I like Arena more, is you don't have to deal with all that shuffling nonsense. But like, I can see where it can be useful if the commentators can, you know, make use of that time to explain an interaction and like the lines of sequencing of what is going on and why. Like, but I think I really like Arena, man. I think the consumption of that platform is way more easier as a viewer than the paper, because like you know what they've drawn every single turn. You're not waiting for some guy with a notepad behind him to like update it on the user interface that you're watching through Twitch or whatever. Like you can see every single card that's in play. There's no camera glare. You know, the players have to play at a pace of play that is consumable to watch.
Like it's consistent.
Right, exactly. Like I was trying to rack my brain of like a slow player that I hated to watch play on camera, and I just couldn't really come up with any names. I want to think Paulo Vita or Damonderosa was one of them back in the day. But it was Paulo was more of a player where it would like it when he went into the tank, it made sense. It wasn't every single turn. I want to think that Guillaume Wafatapa was another player that every turn was just like a minute, and it's just like I can't watch Wafatapa play. He's too slow. Like, no thanks, I'm good. Like, but I mean, I think there's pros and cons of each platform, but I think Arena is just. I watched all of that tournament that happened where Paulo won it. I think it was Worlds. Mm-hmm. Dude, it was so much fun. Like watching that unfold and seeing all the interactions, and I just thought to myself, like, what do new players think right now of this? Like, are new players like just going nuts? Because as an experienced and franchise player, I loved it. I thought it was great.
You're talking about this most recent one that he won, right?
Yeah, I think it was it Worlds?
Yeah, I think it was like World Championships or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was great. I thought it was good. Like for standard and like marketing the product to a newer player that you know, they don't need that so much of the nuances of like brainstorm into fetches and whatnot like you were going into. I don't know that every player wants that. And I kind of worry about having that complexity in standard ever, like, because I've always looked at standard as a way to like ease people into Magic, like teach them the basics, sort of give them the training wheels, and then like you take the training wheels off into modern, and then if they want to go into legacy, they can. But that's just me.
Yeah, because you know, the people that I think are into legacy are into a part of Magic. Like, not that there's new people that haven't jumped into legacy and found the value in it, but people who experience Magic from a different time when stuff was slow and, you know, like dirtily, and there weren't super powerful creatures, and just cats are gonna fight each other. All right, break this up real quick. And, they're used to a type of Magic that is just slow and grindy and isn't something that the modern, you know, consumer of like Magic Online or the consumer of Magic on YouTube or a Twitch stream is really going to be like super interested in, because they probably want to see something that's got a little pace to it, you know. And Arena does a nice job of all that.
Yeah, I think it's designed perfectly for like the normie type of gamer that isn't that like just isn't really in or hasn't really been disciplined into the pace of gameplay that Magic has. Because, like, even if you're a new player, you're still going to be taking time thinking about what it is that you're playing, because you have no fucking idea what it is that you're doing.
Like, for example, those decks we played just a week ago or when you were here.
I was playing those invasion decks, and I was playing what? The Psychotog Upheaval deck, and what was the other one? The blue-green...
Astral Slide?
Blue-green
Madness. You played blue-green, and I played Astral Slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're playing to the deck with a bunch of, like... The best card in it is like Wild Mongrel, like a 2/2 for 2.
Yeah.
Or Psychotog at 3 casting costs, like 1/2 that gets better when you discard cards. Like, that sounds awful.
But you pair it up with like Upheaval, and like you compare that to cards made today. It's just like if you saw Upheaval in today, that shit would get banned like instantly. There's no way a card like that would survive in today's standard.
Yeah, the whole returning lands thing, I think is a no-go. There's not a lot of like Armageddon kind of effects anymore.
No, they got far away from that, and I don't know if I don't really have an opinion on it because I didn't play Standard when Mass Land Destruction was a thing, but I can't imagine that it was fun. It just seems like it was kind of an end of the game type of thing. Just like...
and sometimes it was like the other person just didn't play a game.
Yeah.
It was like you just strip mine them out, or they stumble, you strip mine them once, and that's like just such a huge beating that it didn't even matter.
Upheaval wasn't even that only effect in standard for a little bit. There was a deck focused around a card called Obliterate and a creature called Lorgwave, or not Lord. It was the Landgwave, like
Well,
Terravore.
Terravore.
Yeah. So you'd like Obliterate, float enough mana to cast your Terravore, and then you just play like a massive Terravore that was like a 12/12, and you just beat him in the face. It was basically like Upheaval Tog, but without the permission.
Jesus.
It was so
And it's
such a funny
uncounterable.
Yeah, uncounterable Obliterate. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. Like, thinking back on that deck, I wonder if you could make that deck even better, because I don't know that they were playing Jund. I think it was just red-green. Like, if you tried to flex that mana shell into a Jund shell, I wonder how much better it could have been.
Yeah, eventually they tried to do it with, like, Nether Spirit. You had, like, Jocklehops and Obliterate, and you just have, like, these enchantments that would be in play and basically, like, drain them, like Caustic Vapors or something like that, and some control cards to try and live to the point where you could just, like, Jocklehops kill all the lands or Obliterate kill all the lands, and then Nether Spirit comes back into play, and you just, like, win off of nugging them off of Nether Spirit.
It's so funny how so funny, man. Nether Spirit was like a legit card back in the day, and you show that to new players, are just like, okay, cool,
Awful.
like a 2/2, like whatever.
Dude, so I go on every now and then. I'll go over to a friend's house and I'll play Magic with him, and he'll bring out his Legacy decks. And bless his heart, he has an 8-rack Legacy deck with one of his win conditions beyond Shrieking Affliction and the rack, Nether Spirit.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, Dan and I were like, nice, fair match.
There's been a couple times where I was able to win with the Nether Spirit, but every time I looked at it, I was just like, you could be so much more than the Nether Spirit.
Magic as a good doctor intended it.
Yeah. God.
I played against a version of that deck round 1 with Dragonstorm back in the day, and the guy just crushed me, and I was so on tilt for the rest of the tournament because I played against like my literal worst matchup round 1 of the tournament, where he's like, "Oh, you're playing combo and I'm playing a bunch of duress effects?
Yeah.
Let's go." It was so bad, dude.
Dude, that reminds me. Fucking one time I went to go play in GP Seattle in 2015. Yeah, it was 2015. It was the one where it had the double-sided Delver of Secrets playmat. And I played Burn in that event. It was Legacy. You want to know my first round, Perry? Elves.
Counterbalance?
No,
elves.
Yeah,
Elf
elves.
ball, nice.
Round 2.
Elves again.
Elves again. Round 3.
No way.
Not
No
joking,
way.
elves.
No
And I folded after the third. I didn't even.
Yeah. I'm surprised you made it that far. I would have dropped after round 2. Just like, whatever, dude.
Oh, I forgot to drop after round 3. Like, I went to go walk away, and then they announced round 4 pairing. So I just walked up to the guy, and I was just like, "You can have this game."
You win.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "Thanks, man. Sweet."
Yeah.
Wait, I don't get to do anything for this entire hour.
Lunch.
Exactly, lunch.
Oh,
Fuck.
man.
That was like the worst run ever. After that, I stopped playing in GPs. I was like, "This is fucking. I'm done. I'm done. It's over.
Yeah.
Never again."
Pretty steep. The barrier to entry is pretty steep for Magic nowadays.
Yeah, and I mean, I was playing the most budget-friendly Legacy deck. I was playing Mono Red Burn, so my most expensive card was Chain Lightning, which at the time was like $13 or $14, so it was like super affordable. And
no fat.
No, yeah, that's right. I was borrowing Wooded Foothills and Bloodstained Mires.
Nice.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I paid like $50 for the gas up there, and then $70 for the tournament, and I slept in my car overnight, so that really helped with my sleep and everything. So that was a huge mistake on my end. But I'm gonna blame it on playing against elves 3 times, because that just makes me feel better about myself. But
yeah, they put the elvish curse on you.
Yeah, it costs more than the deck. It's the trip. It's the barrier to entry into the literal event itself, and like the expenses while you're out on the trip, because you need to feed yourself, and if you want to get a hotel room, boom, there's like another $150. So
the cost of that entry fee and the logistics of traveling up there could have been like 2 console games.
exactly.
Ooh. Let's start talking console games.
How many hours of entertainment would you have gotten from those?
Yeah, and then you just play Arena for free at home.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you know?
Yeah. That's what I do.
And you still get to play against real people, and you don't have to see their faces. So whenever you tilt, they don't get to see you tilt. And they don't get to see you talking shit.
You don't have any of the satisfying communication. Like, if you're going to play a cheap Arena deck and you're just going to, like, stomp somebody into the ground with it, and you want to be able to be like, good game, like, have a little back and forth between them, like, or like troll a little bit, or like, I kind of like it when people get super salty too, like when people get salty and then you kind of receive a little bit of it, and you're like, it's not salty, it just has a little flavor to it. It adds just a little bit of flavor to what you're doing. I enjoy it thoroughly.
I think like one of the last Magic tournaments I played in was like a 2-headed, and we played against these kids, and they were like probably 17 or 18 years old. And me and my teammate, we both get land flooded. We draw like the 11-5 split or like 12-5 split or whatever. And it was just like unwinnable, you know. And we get done, and we're just both like super frustrated, and I'm like obviously tilted, and the kids are like, good game. I shit you not. I'm like, dude, all right, man, you got it. Like, yeah, good game. I'll shake your hand, but we've been playing Magic longer than you two have been alive, man.
Like, we've been plagued by variants longer than you've been alive.
God,
variants is real.
Did you think it's weird that like as time goes on and we're going to go to the LGSs more often, we're just going to run into more and more kids like that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to it.
Bro, the new generation.
That's why it's important to like win gracefully, like, you know, like don't like extend the hand to when you win, let them do it, you know, and like if your opponent is feeling like upset, you kind of like, yeah, I understand. I know how it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Magic sucks sometimes, man. Like we all know how it feels to just get flooded out, and you're like, man, this is a great matchup. Like if we all just draw lands, I win this matchup like 85% of the time. Like what is this?
Nothing beats the like maybe you've had kind of a bad night and you get like the perfect like setup, you're about to win, and then they just top deck like the perfect fucking answer and just destroy you. You had what little confidence you had was shredded to pieces. That's the worst.
I like those matches though. I love top deck wars. It's so much fun when like
no.
battles.
I don't mean top deck wars. I mean like you've been winning the game for a few turns, and if you had one more turn, you're gonna stomp them, and then they just had that one silver bullet in their deck, or the
especially when it's not when it's like linear Magic and it's not battle cruiser Magic, and that's happening, and you're like you've been clawing your way through like several turns of like playing correctly, and then you're just like, come on, like couldn't you have just drawn that like 5 turns ago so we didn't have to go through all this?
Yeah,
like,
I would have loved to play around that earlier, but now I'm dead.
Exactly.
So like attacking my guy, you're like, okay, I don't take it. Like Titanic Growth double strike. Oh, 50 damage! Like out of nowhere. Like,
well, your guy has hexproof, so I guess I'm dead.
Yep. Magic the Gathering, good play.
That happened in Ixalan Standard about 2 years ago. I was playing against this guy. He was just like a super budget player. Like he was just playing like commons and uncommons, mono green stompy deck. And I was playing black white, I'm trying to remember exactly. It was like some form of vehicles, and or no, yeah, because I was running like Banalish Marshal and Quatley Warrior Poet. It was a really weird deck. But I pretty much had him because his deck was just a bunch of garbage. Mine was also a bunch of garbage, but it was just better garbage. And then the game 1 he won because I got flooded. Game 2 I won. Game 3 everything was going smooth for me. And then boom, his one of Carnage Tyrant, his Pride and Joy. And I was just like, oh, I haven't seen this card in like half a year, and I'm dead. Great, cool.
Man. I'm glad that Carnage Tyrant is gone. That one was not fun to play against.
Dude,
or with, really.
that card was indicative of kind of how shitty Ixalan was in terms of being a powered down set. Like if your flagship mythic is a 7/6 trample hexproof 7/6 kind of like, it's not really all that
lazy design.
Yeah, it's not all that
mana,
special. Yeah, it was 6 mana. So
I enjoyed playing against it, but I didn't enjoy. Okay, so I enjoyed playing against the particular card. I didn't enjoy the deck that it was in because all the deck did, like, of course, I was an Esper control player at the time, so it's a little bit nuanced here. Where like, I knew what your game plan was. Your game plan is to just like, attrition me out of answers until you slam Carnage Tyrant, and I have to deal with that threat, which I'm fine with. But the problem with it is the deck just keeps bringing it back. Like it had several ways to just keep doing it and over and over and over. And it gets to a point where you're like, okay, so flip the coin on the other side. If the control deck starts doing that, everyone calls for a ban in Nexus of Fate. Like, I mean, yeah, taking infinite turns is a completely different ballpark than playing a 7/6 like uninteractive creature, but most of the time they would just like kill you with it in one attack. So it kind of like, if you didn't deal with it that turn, you were pretty much dead. Like I would always get down to like 11 to 8 life, maybe 7, and it would just be like, I have to deal with this now. Like if I don't deal with this now, I am dead. And I was fine with that because the whole entire game plan, your game planning for that scenario. And if you lose, that's kind of on you, isn't it, as a player?
Yeah. You're trying to push them into that situation where they have to have it, or you make them have to have it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a fun situation, I think, to push somebody into if that's what your deck's doing.
Yeah, like, I didn't enjoy the matchup, so to speak, though. I mean, as reasons I've already said, but
what would a comparable deck to Standards past like would that be? Like, what kind of finisher would you compare Carnage Tyrant to? Like
Dragonstorm, or the Dragonstorm deck was kind of like that too. Yeah, they're just like, okay, you have to have it. You have to have something to deal with this, and I have like blue counter magic, and the Nexus of Fate comparison I think was pretty apt too.
Yeah,
compared to like Carnage Tyrant, because sometimes they just like run that thing out, and you're like, okay, well, I can't kill you in return, so.
I mean, like say, in terms of like comparison of like game design today compared to
I think
games like 20 years ago, like
like the Titan cycle.
Oh yeah,
like the Titan cycle, like they were kind of like inevitable in the sense of like if you got an attack in, I mean, yeah, the come into play effect would be just like value, but if they got an attack in, it was pretty much over.
Especially if like you were playing against like Wolf Run decks or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was the worst.
A lot of those decks were like built around the Titans in the sense that like they had ways to like keep getting back their Titans, like whether that be recursion or just more card draw or disruption to keep you from killing their Titan, like or like permission whatnot. Yeah, I think the Titans would be the closest thing I could gauge to that, where like one attack and it's pretty much over with. Grave Titan, especially. Yeah. Wolf Run was sweet.
Grave Titan, at least, like it felt like when if you like swept away Grave Titan and you take zombies with it, maybe, but man, like recovering from primetime sometimes was just completely impossible.
Yeah,
especially when they go get Wolf Run. It was like every creature is deadly now. Every creature is fireball.
Yeah, their Birds of Paradise is now a threat that I have to kill immediately.
Yeah. That deck was, I mean, that's why that deck was good though. Wolf Run was a potent opponent.
My most disappointing states was that deck. I played that deck and I could not draw well, and I admittedly though I think I too aggressively mulliganed. Like a bunch of my matches though, like I'd keep my opener, mull to 6 or 5, and I'd keep like an okay hand. And then my opponent would have like an equally sketchy hand, and had I known, like, hindsight, like, god damn it, if I would have just kept my opener of 7, there's no way I lose this game. Like he kept such a bit, so like it was my own fault in the end. But like that deck, man, I like chose the right deck and it just didn't play out, like, and it's so frustrating when you set on that list, you test that environment, that meta in and out, and you just can't get the draws to come your way.
It's like
that deck was so fun. I loved that deck.
It's like that quote from Star Trek, however Picard says it, like, you could have done everything right that you possibly could have, but in the end you can still lose. Or however it goes. I don't know.
That's magic. That's magic, and if people don't like it, you might want to find another game.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt.
Go play chess or something.
My deck when Wolf Run was in was always the like blue-white humans deck. And Gary, hush.
Which one?
Blue-white humans, like where you just like play Champion of the Parish, play Dahlia, play.
Oh, that same standard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just go way under the deck.
Yeah.
That was. I think that was the correct call in that meta. Like you either like super rush your opponent.
Oh,
or
you play like
just,
Phantasmal Image, right? In that deck.
It was just like a lot of the mono white humans, and then had mana leak in it, so you could like leak their Titan or play like or you could go like Geist to Saint Traft and put Angelic Destiny or whatever on it.
Yep,
that was a fun deck.
That was a very good call for that meta, I think, because that was probably the rock paper scissors meta right there, like Valakut and that deck, and then whatever control deck there was.
Man, and like Pod.
Yeah, I was about to say Pod,
Pod,
where it was one of the bigger decks.
Yeah, I played the shit out of that deck too.
Because that Wormcoil into Elish Norn chain was just backbreaking.
Yeah. I love that deck. Oh my god, I love that deck. I played that deck so much, and people would get so mad at me for playing it.
It was good, man. It was resilient. That was a really good resilient deck. There's a reason that got banned in Modern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is because it just took advantage of every creature. It's just like everything has an ETB effect, so no matter what, I just get value out of everything I play. I don't even have to pod my creatures. I just play my creatures, and I'm going to outvalue you.
We're going to talk about like bannings that have been going on here.
Mm-hmm. Wait, say that again? Sorry.
We're going to talk about bannings that have gone on.
Oh, yeah. God. Actually, before we get into the bannings... Actually, you know what? Fuck it, since you brought up the bannings. Gentlemen, how do you feel about all these constant bannings that's been going on in the past year and a half, 2 years? Like, not only with the increase of bannings, but how quickly cards are getting banned as soon as they're printed. And not just standard sets, but Modern Horizon sets. With examples like Hogak and Arkham's Astrolabe being banned in both Modern and Pauper, respectively. You also have cards in Standard that get banned super quickly, like Oko, Thief of Crowns, Summer Veil, right? I think that one. And then Once Upon a Time, just now recently, Fires of Invention, and Agent of Treachery. Are there any other standard cards that are banned that I can't think of off the top of my head?
Oh, I think so.
That Raptor card from back in Ixalan.
Oh, yeah, that card. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of it now.
Wayfaring Ferocidon?
Something Ferocidon.
Yeah.
And I know Ferocidon was definitely. Because I remember people were like, justice for Ferocidon, because it didn't need to be banned. It just was, because Wizards of the Coast is just like, ah, fuck it, whatever. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. But,
so current standard cards, Field of the Dead, and
Field
it's the only
of
one
the
we
Dead.
missed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That card is degenerate, dude.
Yeah, I played that on Arena for a while.
I played
I
played against that on Arena against Risen Reef. They had like 3 Risen Reefs and were just spamming Field of the Deads, and oh my god. I just watched the game for fun at that point. It's like, I'm not winning, but I just want to see what happens, and
it's like I'm watching Twitch with extra clicks.
I think all these bannings are just a nature in the design space that WotC is operating in right now. Like, if you're gonna have like Battlecruiser Magic in this like super overpowered meta, this is just gonna be, inherent in their design philosophy of like, how do we make the most busted cards possible without breaking the game? And like, your people are gonna eventually break it. Like Magic Online, like iterated metas pretty quickly back in the day, but now with Arena, it's going even faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's crazy how fast people come out with like these meta shaping decks, whereas like Paper Magic 15, 20 years ago, it would take months for that to evolve, whereas now it happens in like literal days.
Do you think? Do you think if like
people get the spoiler even like
what?
spoilers out, and then people are already like, okay, we're brewing up decks, we're playing them against people because like as soon as you can get on Arena, your ability to like to decode the whole format is accelerated by a bunch.
Yeah, and like the hive mind mentality, I mean, the average player nowadays is probably 10 times what they were 20 years ago. So naturally, the hive mind mentality, we're probably going to figure stuff out a lot quicker nowadays.
And players are better on average these days compared to back then because we have so many more resources available to us today. You have YouTube content, you have a lot more written articles you can explore. You have things like Commander where you can have a lot of weird interactions with all these weird different random cards with all these friends and everything that can help you prepare for like other standard games and stuff. So it just seems like the zeitgeist of Magic has shifted drastically in the past 15 to 20 years, and mostly that's because of the advent of the internet in general. But if so, you think like let's take another particularly busted standard from the past. Like let's go Tolarian Academy decks, right? What cards off the top of your head were banned in that era?
Memory Jar, Academy, Spiral, and then later on they knocked out like the mana pieces to go along with it, like your
like Dynamo.
No, they never got rid of that. There was always Grim Monolith and Dynamo, and I think Vaulted Key got the axe at some point.
Yeah, I think Voltaic Key was the first one to go because it was
maybe that was in like other formats. They got rid of Vaulted Key.
It's only been like 23 years. You should remember this.
I know. Steel Trap, wake up!
So if
like Mind Over Matter, Dream Halls had to go eventually. Spiral and Academy all were
just a bunch of blue cards.
Yeah, like just stuff that now is just busted beyond belief.
So if we had that type of standard today, where all those cards were still banned, but the games were being played at the rate that they're being played today, do you think that there could have been more, like from that period in particular, because of like how things are played today? Do you think more stuff would have gotten exposed as a result, or do you think like just over the years, over the past 23 years, like you said earlier, we've kind of exhausted all opportunities?
Oh yeah, I think
cards?
you definitely would. I think you definitely would see like the meta evolve quicker back then.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play back then, but like even when I recall, like back in my day, the like good example would be Squirrel Opposition. It started out as like a blue-green shell, and then eventually morphed into a red-blue-green Teamer shell, and because of the introduction of cards like Flametongue Kavu and Fire Ice and these like busted red cards that you just had to play because why not? Why wouldn't you play them?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I really do believe that you would see the meta evolve a lot quicker in those olden days, and we could have seen completely different metas even. Like who knows? That's just my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like that's what I asked. That's why I asked, because I was thinking like maybe metas would be just radically different because of that.
Yeah, I think they would.
Well, I think when given enough time, you're gonna kind of get that. Hopefully, you get the triangle of like rock paper scissors that goes on, unless you have like another outlying deck out there that's like kind of coming in and messing with the numbers. But you always kind of get down and boil down a meta to its real top players. Well, in the three like major categories.
Well, even like with that, do you think Wizards of the Coast would even still allow that? Like even by today's standards, what would you say? Because I don't play Standard. I haven't played Standard since they first put Ikoria on Arena, which was like a month and a half, 2 months ago. What would you say before the bannings was the rock paper scissors? It'd be like Jeskai, Luca, the cat oven decks, maybe. I don't know. I haven't played standard, so what would you say?
Good.
What would you say were like the top contenders?
Like certainly fires, certainly the wilderness reclamation, the expansion explosion decks.
Yep, blue green. The enchantment where you untap all your lands.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess that other place was taken up by a lot of like rotating decks, like the ones that play Kata and Oven and the like mono reds of the world. Were all like they were strong. They had a showing.
Mm-hmm.
Though I think maybe they got better. Maybe they got better with just that companion coming out, the 5 casting cost companion, or the 3 casting cost companion, the Luris card.
Oh, Yorion.
Yeah, the one where you can only play odd numbered spells in your.
Oh, Abash.
Yep, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little while ago when that person came out with the banner card to go in those decks to ramp to like give all your guys +1/+0 and then ramp you from 3 to 5 to get that guy into play really fast. Like that's good thinking. Yeah, that is good thinking.
You can't do that nowadays. Now with the errata, and they made all companions cost 3 to put from your sideboard to your hand, which I think is probably what they should have done in the first place.
Yeah, that makes you wish for them.
Exactly.
I think like Wizards needs to go back to how they used to do things, where they would intentionally print like a functional sideboard hoser in every set for the main theme of the set. Like I remember back in the day, once again, this is just gonna be a back in the day stream. They would like every set you would have something that would go against the main theme of the set. Like Onslaught, it was a stabilizer for all the cycling that was in that block. For graveyard set, it was a Nizumi Grave Robber. Like he would like eat your graveyard and like flip and turn into this like huge threat. Like there were certain like safety valves that were in place in every set back then that I just don't think you see nowadays. And I don't know if that's because Wizards doesn't want to dilute the set with those kind of cards that like don't really serve a purpose unless said thing gets out of control. And then
they did put a hoser for companions in Ikoria. It was the Dranith Magistrate, because it was 1 and a white and it was a 2/2, and it said creatures can't be cast except from their hands.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think that was designed to hose Ikoria, but it didn't matter.
But isn't it just a 1/1 though? Like if you get that out, it was a 1/3?
It was a 1/3.
Yeah.
Is it really much? See, shouldn't that be like a 3/3 or something? So it's like an actual threat. Like that's kind of what I'm talking about though. Like back in the day, you had choke, boil. Like these hosers would almost win in their outright own, but they would also like completely nullify your opponent's strategy, buying you time to formulate like an alternative game plan in the meantime. So they were almost like good. Like I remember playing against a dude that played choke main deck, and I'm like, main deck choke, huh? Seems pretty good when I'm playing mono blue. He's like, yep, that's why I play it. And I'm like, well, good call. Like, I mean, like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
But why does that make me so happy?
Oh, man. Wait, talk again, McBee?
Why does that make me so happy? I said.
Whoa, your voice is cutting out really bad.
Sorry, my internet connection may be lagging right now.
Gotcha.
You
sound super robotic. It's all distorted and everything.
You're like a Borg right now. Don't
yeah, you sound like a Borg. It's pretty good.
Oh shit!
God,
you must play net decks.
Can he like restart it and rejoin the call? Maybe that'll fix it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Later.
So in the meantime, God, okay.
We gotta get back on track. I derailed us a little bit there.
No, it's all good. This podcast has kind of been directionless anyways. We're almost 40 minutes in, and we haven't even hit the first subject that we hit on the docket, so Yeah, that's how the show's always been anyway. So
It's be like a 3-hour podcast. Don't worry about it.
yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. Oh,
Are
he's
we good
back.
now?
Oh,
Oh,
hey,
Gucci.
his voice works. He's not a Borg anymore.
Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
So now that you're back, and since we mentioned it earlier, Dan, I guess we'll go over the first subject on our docket. So there's a lot of bullshit going on in the world right now. I don't feel like getting into it exactly because it's, for one, an incredibly tender subject, and two, I'm not educated enough to even disperse any opinion on it. Except Wizards of the Coast feels the need to talk about issues in the world that don't necessarily relate to them.
Outside of the universe of Dominaria.
Exactly. And not only that, but they also dance gingerly around the pandemic that's been affecting our world since January, February, and just probably, I don't know, the most corporate ways. I can't really say I'm surprised. And, unemployment as usual, all the bullshit. So, Dan, why don't you start us off here? You are a bit more, you've been a bit more, or you've paid a bit more attention to this stuff than I have.
Well, it was more along the lines of like them just releasing double masters during like a crazy time right now. Like unemployment is crazy high. People are, facing
It's not just
living on the
that.
streets.
It's not just the double masters, but also the amazing amount of secret layers. I mean, like, to be fair, Wizards of the Coast, they're not omniscient. They can't, or they're not omen speakers. They can't see into the future. So, and they make all these products months and months in advance. But at a time where everyone's starting to run out of money and they're depending on Trump bucks, Wizards of the Coast is just like,
yep,
Commander decks, secret layer.
Dude,
Yeah.
the thing I don't get
Buy
about
our
the secret lair
products.
thing is the FOMO. Like they totally use FOMO in their secret lair announcements. Like you have to buy this now, or you won't be able to down the road. And I think that is awful. Because there's going to be a lot of players out there that are just going to be like, oh, I have to buy this now. Impulse buy. Impulse buy.
It undercuts the secondary market as well in a certain way because the people that, like, for example, wanted to buy Thalias. Why buy Thalias when I can just go buy the secret layer Thalias? Now LGSs get to miss out on buying on that sale from those people or whatever. Or, some players now, they see all these constant secret layers being dropped all the time, and they think to themselves, it's just like, well, why would I just go waste money at my LGS for, go spend $60 on the single when I can just wait and see if Wizards of the Coast is going to release, like, an awesome collection of, like, 4 or 5 cards for $50 in a month or two that I'll...
Yeah, or they, like, release the fetch lands, and they literally put the price at, like, what the retail of the fetches would be, so then you're just like, cool, okay, cool, so I don't have to buy these? Like, I'll just wait? Okay.
Release. Yeah, I don't think I wanted to buy a set of fetch lands off a TCG player for face value. I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, go support your own LGS. Yeah, it's messed up, man. Like they're clearly playing the secondary market and prices and whatnot, and I don't know if that's good for the longevity of the game. I do think that like the big retailers like SCG and CFB, I could care less if those guys get cut out. Like I don't think that they offer what local game stores do to the player base on an anywhere remotely close level. Like
I think they do more harm than good.
Exactly. Yeah. If you've ever interfaced with those companies on like a financial level and like really gleaned into how they conduct business, it is not good in my opinion for the growth of this game.
Yeah, they're doing fine.
Yeah.
So they're raking in their fees. They're out there doing what they need to do to get money. Like,
yeah,
they don't need to be throwing any bones.
Yeah. In that regard, like I don't give a shit about what Secret Lair is doing. Like I'm for it, and also like I've always looked at like reprints as a good thing because I think because that's the thing about Magic. Whenever you print one card and it ends up in the hands of someone that has the demand side of that, they're gonna need 3 more. So that's just going to make 3 more copies need to be pulled out from the supply side. So I don't really think it matters. I almost think it's fine. I just don't like the fact that it's like you have to buy this now, right now, or you will miss out. You will not be given the opportunity to purchase this product again, ever again. Like, why?
I just don't like that how that's all based around that Wizards of the Coast is ultimately just focused on taking advantage of the secondary market like that in general. Like,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
reprints are nice, and you could like look at it through the lens of like taking advantage of reprints and having more copies of, like, I don't know, Birds of Paradise. Like, that's in the newest one, so we'll use that as an example. Birds of Paradise is always going to be like between $5 to $15 given the time of year. No matter how many printings it gets, but every time it gets a printing, it always just ticks down just a little bit. But Wizards of the Coast kind of knows this, and they notice cards like Birds of Paradise or Lightning Bolt or Tarmogoyf or Snapcaster, or like your average mid-range $10-15 cards. Like, if you wait long enough, like 5 or 6 years, you can kind of reprint it and have it be set at a certain value, and then make money from that, and then wait a few more years, wait for that reprint equity to accrue again, and then boom, just tap into it again and again.
Yep.
But it feels like with the Secret Lair stuff, they're just going overboard. It's almost like how it was with Masterpieces, except worse, because people aren't buying hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of standard boxes trying to get special soul rings or Cloudstone curios. Instead, they're just buying X amount of whatever flashy new single is coming out, and they're buying it directly from Wizards of the Coast, which is the other bigger problem. You're not buying it through an LGS, so the LGS doesn't get a cut at all, and you're not buying it through Amazon, so Amazon isn't getting a cut all or anything. It's just straight up Wizards of the Coast. So it's Wizards of the Coast that are effectively just selling singles to you. And they're saying, hey, the local game store is nice and all and everything, but, you can just buy from us instead. It's fine. It's probably cheaper in general.
I mean, it makes sense. We made the game, right, guys?
You can buy a Bitter Blossom for only at like a couple dollars more than what it goes for on the market, but we'll also give you 4 really cool tokens to make up for it. Oh, and there's no limit, so you can buy as many as you want.
Yep.
It's so shady, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
This, especially right now, like you said, that they can't see the future, but when stuff starts to roll out and that people are going to be like caged up for a while, that's the time to endear yourself to your fan base. That's the time to go, okay, you know what, we know everybody's having a tough time right now, like, here, let's send out some stuff to, like, if you want to enter online to win product X, something that we can print up and send out to people to have like new fun Magic games, or like enter to win one of these random commander decks or whatever.
What if they make like a special Secret Lair that you can only get by winning like through a giveaway or something?
Exactly.
So it's like super valuable and just like,
and something
special
that benefits the players, man. And again gives them a little bit of equity, and that they can like move around in the Magic world and maybe get themselves a nice deck or something like that, or some singles that they're after, something to help people when shit is going sideways, instead of like, hey, let's press on FOMO more.
Yep.
Like, are you kidding?
Yeah, like I was thinking about this today. Was like I really wanted to contribute to what's going on right now politically, and I was like, man, I wish that like the products that I'm interested in would offer me a product where like the proceeds would go towards said thing, and that way like I could kind of get a double dip of value of like contributing to a good cause and getting something that I could remember, oh, that's what I bought when that happened. Yeah, that was a crazy time in life, like a playmat or just something. And it really surprised me that like Woke Watsy didn't take this opportunity to make something like a Secret Lair product where all the proceeds would go towards this cause or something. Like, I mean, who knows? Maybe they're planning to announce it currently with the crazy week we've had. But like even the pandemic, they didn't do anything, which really surprised me. And I feel like
have like a Secret Lair like healing edition or something, whatever that like is flavored around it, where like it's not particularly like good cards, but it's like very rare. You can only get them here, like Healing Salve. That card's been a meme for forever, but like you get like a full art, no text version that's just like, I don't know, like stained glass or just this beautiful fucking art, and then just like, I don't know, like some inspirational type cards that's just like, we can like get through this together, and the only way you can get it is like if you donate to like COVID relief or whatever, and you provide proof that you donated to it, and then you enter in the drawing, and then like 100 people get it, and boom, that's it. That's all. What
about a soul ring?
A soul ring.
Every commander deck needs a soul ring.
Yeah.
Some fancy one-off soul ring that's like something that showed that you donated or that you know, like an I voted sticker sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Only it's a fucking soul ring for your deck.
It's
a no-brainer.
I not to get too political, but I think it's really telling when companies say things and when they do things. There's a difference between saying and doing. And the companies that make these like statements and put out these bullshit statements of like, we're with you in these trying times, you know, like we feel you, you know, it's like, no, you really don't. You haven't done anything. Like you could donate even just like $1 million would be such a huge, colossal difference to the outcomes of these events unfolding, and you're not doing anything. You like, has WotC even released a statement?
All they're doing
Have they done anything?
All they're doing is making advertisements telling us that they care. That's all that they're doing.
Right.
As someone who makes those advertisements, I can tell you they are horse shit.
Yeah. So I think we all know like where WotC stands in all this, and they're just a bottom line company. They really don't care about their fans, and like it's all just, you know, fake news, fake words, pretty much.
Yeah, unless they're doing something to go with it, or if they're doing something and not talking about it, like that's fine. Like if they're doing something and they're saying, "Hey, we are doing this to help out whatever cause."
Yep.
And this is what it is. This is how we're helping. You know, God bless, thank you, or whatever.
Yep.
Like I can get behind that, but like we're with you during this trying time.
Yep.
We're hashtag in this together.
Yeah.
Hashtag alone together.
Yeah. Fucking okay. Well, I'll see you at home then.
Oh, man.
Fucking people. God. Okay. So speaking of disconnect in general, Mark Rosewater, the man himself, the writer of Roseanne, who turned into a game designer. Premium products. Did you hear about this? It's a little expansion on the phrase, you know, not every product is meant for you. You don't have to buy everything. You know that, right? You're such an entitled Magic the Gathering player.
Could have fooled me.
Okay. These premium products are meant for premium players.
They're for the whales. For the whales.
Exactly.
That's the first time no one's called me a whale. Oh shit.
Whale song.
Oh man.
Like if it hasn't ever been so apparent throughout the years, now it is more than ever that they don't care. They don't care.
No, they don't.
And you know what? That's fine. It's fine that they don't care because we've known about it for so long. But it's just hilarious that they are okay with just playing with their hands open.
Yeah, it's pretty flagrant.
It really is.
Like, do something. Like we said earlier, man. It's about doing something, not about saying, "Look at what we're doing for you," or like how like the statement too, where he talked about some things are just not for certain groups of people. It's like, man, that is just so tone deaf. Like, look at the people that play Magic, my man.
I remember being equally as offended when they first said not every product is meant for every player, because that was directly translated the same thing. It's just like you're like, you love the game, but you're not committed enough to the game, so we don't care. That's kind of what that reads off as. Is like,
Come back to me when you have $200 more.
Exactly.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'll listen to your complaint if you can buy this case of Commander 2018.
That's a nice deck, but
You put the money on their desk, and he's like, "All right, go. You have 30 seconds."
I'm not obligated to listen to you, but you can speak.
Man. Yeah, it's very tone deaf. It's tone deaf and ridiculous that, again, they're trying to pitch a game that should be accessible to people like across the board, and they're trying to cash in on the secondary market. They're trying to push out something that's for the whales. It's for the people who are going to drop the big dollars. They're doing some.
And not only that, but with the Secret Lair taking advantage of the secondary market, but we're getting effectively 2 master sets this year. Yep. To again take advantage of the secondary market.
In the same like marketing window, like quarter. So essentially the same thing with Secret Lair. Like, buy it now or you're gonna miss out. Like, if this product moves and it's sold out, you're gonna miss out. So that FOMO effect, once again, like, you better buy it now or else. Like,
buy it now for $50 or buy it 2 years on eBay for $150.
Well, no, I mean the double masters boxes, because the MSRP on them was like 300, I think, and now they're like going up to like 350 or something.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's essentially that same tactic of marketing where it's like, buy this now or you're going to miss out. And it's because they know their player base. They know that the FOMO strategy works because it's worked in the secondary market where these spikes happen and people drive up the spike even further than it naturally would have with just natural demand. And so the FOMO effect takes place, and it like drives up the spike like even more. So I mean, they know what they're doing, and they don't care. Like when they make statements like that, where like, we believe that premium products are meant for premium players. That's just like, we don't care. Like
when they say things like that, do you think they say it because they assume that these marketing strategies, they're aware that it burns out players, because they've stated on multiple occasions that the average Magic player only stays around for around 18 to 24 months, which is 1.5 to 2 years, which is about an average standard period, right?
Well,
so they're like,
be a better idea at a longer time span then?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you could extract more money over a longer period of time. Sure, it's smaller amounts of money over that period of time, but it's a longer period of time regardless, and you're building loyalty with that, as opposed to now, where we're going to give you 30 products over the course of 2.5 years, and if you can't catch up, tough titties. Just give us as much money as you can. And that player is just like, okay, this is too much for me. Maybe they're not thinking in their head, you don't care about me, but they're thinking in their head, this is too much. I can't keep up with this.
Yeah.
And then for the older players, they're like, we don't feel like you care about us. So it feels like everyone's just getting kind of like burned at the end here. And Wizards of the Coast is hoping that the longer term players will just stick around because they love the game so much.
I kind of wonder if that's like the general tactic in marketing now in the modern days is, basically fleece your community as much as you can in the short term as possible and worry about everything else down the road. Mm-hmm. Basically get rich quick and worry about everything later on. And like, mm-hmm. I don't know that they care, because usually what happens is, you cash in, or you get your money, you cash out, and then you just sell the company and move on to another company and buy up that company and drive the demand through the roof in that next company and do the same thing, cash out and move on. Like I honestly worry that it's just a short-term tactic for them to sell off WotC once things take a massive nosedive from the player base closing their wallets and saying we're done.
Do you think Hasbro is like, that's the long-term goal of Hasbro? Or
I think that Hasbro has, they have quotas that they want them to meet. They have growth that they want to see out of them. They have certain expectations. They're like, okay, you did X amount this year. I need X amount plus, 8% or whatever. This is what I expect your growth to be. And to get there, you need to have a strategy that involves you executing and getting this much money for this amount of time out of players. So you know that they're going to be around for, this short amount of time. So get them as much as you can all the way up to here. But what they're not thinking about is like once that churn is done and those people come back, like there's going to be a long break there where they're not playing, and they need to be able to actually like chain on to the next break without people just saying, fuck this game, I'm done. Like, this is not fun anymore. I'm chasing my tail, which in all actuality, like people who are playing Magic are playing a game that's always evolving. All those things that we think are beautiful about the game are also what can burn you out on the game.
Yeah.
And to like make sure that you make as much money as possible within that little amount of time when people aren't burnt out is pushing people to be burnt out to the point where they don't want to come back. And that's not where they want. They need to think about their long-term health instead of just how much money they can make in this little bloodbath right here of 18 to 24 months.
That's what burnt me out on Magic my first time around, like 15 years ago, was just the turnover rate was just too much for me, and I was just like, fuck this, I'm done. Like I'm not dropping like $600-700 every 3 or 4 months just to be competitive in my hobby of interest. Like,
you've got to know that a lot of that, that 18 to 24 months bloodbath money is coming from people who are not well off.
Yeah.
Like they've got to realize that the people that are buying Magic cards are doing so, like in some cases to their own detriment, which, it's a free country, do what you want, but like pushing that fear button over and over and over again to get people to buy cards and to create that like FOMO that they're looking for. They got to give them a reprieve on top of that. They've got to give them like a bonus on top of that, because like you can't just get the negative button all the time and still have a good experience with the game. Like that's going to turn into negativity at the shop. It's going to turn into negativity in their overall lives, or it's going to turn into just quitting Magic and considering it just a bad thing in general.
And how are you going to pressure these newer players like that at the rate that you're going to pressure them at, while also, because these players are going to be predominantly playing Standard, aggressively banning Standard decks? That maybe these players aren't playing these decks. Let's give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're not playing like the Fires of Invention decks, or the Oko decks, or the Once Upon a Time decks, or whatever. But they might be playing random Jink or whatever. Maybe Blue-Green Flash or something from a Challenger deck or what the fuck ever. Sure, their stuff might not get banned, but they'll see like their friends that they've come to, know at the shop, and they see that their decks get banned, and they don't want to have to reinvest another $200-300 in another deck, so they don't play Standard anymore. And it's like, well, cool, that's one less person that I get to play Standard with, and they get to see the general morale go down. And they think to themselves, it's just like, they have that thought in the back of their head, like, I don't want to buy a super expensive powerful card or powerful deck because it might get banned one day. So maybe investing into this game isn't really such a good idea, because I may end up getting burned really badly.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
they just released another secret layer. I think I'm done with this game.
Yeah, I would expect that like standard sales of boxes are nowhere near where they should be if the growth of the game continued in a curve that was like the way it should be, because I would think that a lot of standard players just quit in droves. It's just like a high turnover that it's completely unsustainable, and I think that's why they started the Masters sets, was to supplement that income that was lost from the growth of Standard, or the lack thereof in Standard. And that's why we see all these reprint equity sets where they just prey upon the secondary market to prop up their sales. And like if they were really testing Standard thoroughly in their research and development and putting out a product where you didn't have all these bannings occurring, I think you would have more buyer confidence buying more Standard, and there would be more people at FNMs. Like FNM is, when was the last like meta or era where FNM was thriving? Like I can't tell you. I don't remember when that was. It's been fucking years.
Cons Theros Standard.
Wow, that's a bit ago.
If I had to think, like if I really had to think about an F&M at Epic Gaming that are my old stomping grounds, the last time F&M truly popped was what came after Cons? Was it Battle? Yeah, everything started going to shit after Battle for Zendikar. So yeah, Cons Theros. That was
It just seems like with the lazy design and development of the standard meta, they keep on printing these like boogeyman type cards that put people so far off of the game. Like, I don't want to play against Teferi. I hate that card. I don't want to play against Field of the Dead. I hate that card. I don't want to play against, Oko. How many of these do we have to keep happening where they almost seem to me as an experienced player where it's like, how did they print that? Like, shouldn't they have gotten that in R&D like within the first like week or so of playing against it that this could be a problem?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do they even test their product?
I would say
how many games of Oko did they play with before they realized it was the best Planeswalker ever printed? And how many more games did it take afterwards till they were like, we need to make this a better card?
Dude, I have to tell you a story about Oko. I have to tell you a story. Okay, so my first time playing against Oko, I had no clue how busted it was. I hadn't heard about all the hype. I just logged into Arena and was playing Standard, and I played against it, and it whooped my ass. And I'm like, this card is fucking busted. Like, I was tilting. I was full tilt. I was pissed off. I was like, this is a 3-drop Planeswalker that just kicked my ass, and I couldn't do anything.
This is like a 3-drop Planeswalker that went up to 5.
Yeah. Literally, this dude just like was in the driver's seat the whole game off of the backbone of a 3-drop walker that he like ramped into on turn 2 on like the draw or the play, whatever. But I'm just I'm like sitting there like thinking like, what just happened? Like, what did I just like? I'm not a bad player. Like, I play good decks. Don't get me wrong. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know what to expect. And that was something so far out of left field that is so inexplicable to me. Like, I've never experienced that in Magic where I just get utterly just demolished by one card, and I'm just like dumbfounded after the game is over. Like, what just happened?
You were playing a 2019 standard deck, and your opponent came forward in time with a 2028 modern deck and just fucking destroyed you.
It's like that meme where it's like the brain is like, and now we're totally woke and it's just fucking emanating. Oh my god.
Small
PP brain is force of nature, 8/8 for 8, where you have to pay an upkeep cost every turn. And then woke brain is 3 mana planeswalker that makes sure you never lose the game ever.
It just doesn't make sense to me, man. I just don't understand what their take is on standard. Do they want powerful cards? Okay, if you want powerful cards, you're gonna have to do a better job of policing your standard environment and making sure that there's safety valves in check for these busted cards. Otherwise, you're gonna have the like back in the day, Peter Atkinson, when Marrow and Aaron Forsyth did, I think it was it Mirage? Was it Frostbloom? I don't know. Anyways, there was a set that Marrow and Forsyth did where like they got taken into the principal's office to Atkinson, and Atkinson literally told them, this is on a Marrow podcast, where he said that Atkinson told them, if this happens again, you are both fired. Now, that stance from management and upper echelon management, why is that not occurring now? Like, why is that standard and that precedent not being set for these designers of being like, look, this is a serious thing. You're shaking our buyers' confidence. You need to knock it off and do your goddamn job.
Maybe back in my day, we used to take somebody like that out, beat him on the shed of the rubber hose, let him go.
Well, this Atkinson guy, was he the head of Wizards or was this Hasbro?
This was Wizards at the time. They had not been bought out by Hasbro. I think it was the meta that Sean was talking about, the Tinker era.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you think maybe Hasbro is just like, because year after year a corporation expects their subsidiary companies to make more and more money each year,
Yep.
And maybe Wizards of the Coast was just like, maybe they just painted them into a corner and they're just like, we need you to make money, and Wizards of the Coast is like, we don't know how to make money, and Hasbro's just like, fucking figure out a way to do it.
They know.
They're just
they know exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I have a buddy that works at a company that makes smartphone games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he and his company are very well aware of what exactly psychologically they are doing to people when they are creating games. You know, they're making little arcs of fulfillment of like a need and little emotions that are coming up, and they literally like are mapping what their game is doing to people by like where the emotional cycle is taking them, so that they'll want to continue on for more revolutions, more levels to like, and they know.
I remember like 5-10 years ago, it was a few articles online I'd see of game companies hiring therapists and psychoanalysts to work for them, and like tell like King. I remember King was the one of the big ones, and King is the developers of Candy Crush, and they hire like psychotherapists and those types of people to like tell you this is how you get people's like attention span and high engagement numbers up and everything. I can't talk correctly, but it's the same thing that you're talking about. It's
playing, coming back.
Mm-hmm.
They know what they're doing, and they're just like, okay, you know, they know how to adjust the valve to, you know, create the balance between like how much they can get people to feel that like that FOMO, that need to buy, versus to make money.
Yeah. Do you think like maybe they're like betting on the constant powerful cards, like ever since Kaladesh block, ever since Energy, everything has just been super powerful and like on the edge of being ban worthy, with a few exceptions like Ixalan block and whatnot. They're doing it on purpose, and they have been over the past like 4 to 5 years. And I'm thinking like maybe they're doing it on purpose because it helps actually keep some players' attention span, because they're just constantly printing these super overpowered cards, and it keeps those like whale standard types who will buy into standard no matter what. Do you think that they're just like kind of banking on that and like on all the Timmies and everything? Because it's just like, how can you be bored of Magic whenever you get shit like Ikoria all the time, or Throne of Eldraine, or Kaladesh, where it's just powerful stuff all the time?
You could argue that they are using it as like, you know, in the way that like Arena resets a season,
Mm-hmm.
or like they introduce a new set to change the format. It's like they have intervals where they're like, okay, this card clearly is going to affect the metagame in a negative way, and are we just going to let that go until, you know, people naturally cry out, get rid of this thing, ban it, and then that's going to shift the format for us. And, you know, like you're saying, people are figuring out the format faster and faster. Are they doing, you know, putting in their own little stopgaps to where they're like, okay, the frustration builds up to a point, and then, okay, this thing gets banned, frustration meter goes back down, new format is created.
In their office, they have their own huge clock with a hand that goes up to midnight, and then they're just like, all right, we're going to ban it, set it back down to 10 p.m.
They release a new set, Mark Rosewar goes back in and twists the valve the other way, releases some pressure.
And it goes back down to 11:55.
Got a definite Steam Vent vibe to it, whatever it is.
But,
like,
so you think that the
some dark cabal that's like, you know, like preying on our hopes and dreams, and are like
secretly there's like a little Zvi Mashevitz in the corner, like, yes,
there's like,
do my bidding.
There's a gigantic machine that's hooked up to this clock, and it's like siphons down to like the underground, and there's like a gigantic cult. Yeah. Like Zvi and like yeah, like Zvi and Kai Buddha and like Finkel and Paulo and like old developers.
slowly like draining from the well of souls, empowering themselves for another rise to the top.
And in the
Your tears only make me stronger.
And in the very center is you got like Rich Hagon in the center with the robe, and he's like absorbing all the power.
I am Legion.
They're all speaking in tongues.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah, Dark Cabal. They are tapping swamps for extra mana. Is all
Cabal coffers, like $25 card.
Getting work done. I think when they print those sets that are tapping into the secondary market, they realize that there's money that people would normally be putting in to their standard cards. They're like, we want to extract a little bit of money out of this secondary market too, because there's just like cash ready to go there. You know, there's what's up?
Cabal coffers is a $70 uncommon,
and it only has the 2 printings, right?
No,
like Plane Chase and its first printing.
No,
$70.
Planes Chase, Promo FNM, and Torment. Oh my god, I sold my foil Cabal coffers way back in the day. $70, dude. What is going on? Reprint that shit.
Oh, it's probably gonna get reprinted in like the Commander Master set or Double Masters. Just you wait.
Well, Commander Masters.
I didn't mean to derail us.
You're gonna get a $60 secret lair with just Cabal coffers.
Just the Cabal coffers. Thanks, Wizards.
I'm
so happy.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Or you're gonna get like the $200 land secret lair where it's not fetches, it's like Cabal coffers and like I don't know, what are some other super valuable lands that aren't?
Mana Confluence.
Mana Confluence, that's a good one. That's like a $35-$40 card.
It's just a ever so slightly better City of Brass.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
This card's not even 10 years old.
You know what card I'm glad that they've reprinted a bunch of times already though? Chromatic Lantern.
Yeah, for real, right? Thankfully they put it in a standard set. Thank God. Because that was crawling up to like $10 and then they reprinted it.
Yeah, they don't need that. They don't need that card to be really expensive.
Oh,
that's just like
I forgot to mention this to you, Nick. So there was a Reddit thread that was created like 10 days ago, and it was titled M21 Rumors.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy totally called the companion errata and Fire Invention ban, and he's also made other like rumor posts about cards that are coming out in M21.
Okay, so let's share some M21 deets.
So he says there's going to be an instant 1 colorless and a blue. Draw a card, then draw another card for each copy of this in your graveyard. So it's like a harken back to accumulated knowledge. Yep.
Nice. Is it?
And then another card will be a 1 black instant, destroy target creature or planeswalker with CMC 3 or less.
So like Smother?
Yeah, like Smother for creatures or planeswalkers. Would have been nice to have that when Oko was like broken.
Fucking Christ, right?
White creature, 3 white, lifelink. Whenever 2 or more creatures attack you or a planeswalker you control, you may draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts a second spell each turn, you may draw a card.
This is a white card, you said, right?
It's a white card, yeah. So white card draw. I hope they make this card because I really believe white has gotten like the short end of the stick for
white has
way
been
too long
trash
now.
for like the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, like if you gave me an option, okay, you have to play red or white. I'll be like, all right, give me red. Just whatever there is.
Mm-hmm.
Do not want to play white. Another card, 1 colorless red and a green. As long as it's your turn, this has first strike. You may also look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play that top card of your library if it's a land card. And you can also... It's a 3/3. And you can also pay 4 colorless, a red and a green, and give this creature +X/+X, where X is the number of lands you control.
Nice.
So it's like a Corsair of Kruvix, but kind of better?
Yeah, with like a huge ass pump on it.
Yeah.
There's going to be a new Teferi, this person says. 2 colors, 2 blue. You can use new Teferi's ability anytime you could play an instant.
So
It's a
twice?
planeswalker,
Really?
so
Wow.
5 loyalty for 2 colors and 2 blue. Okay. And its +1 is draw and discard a card. And then its -3 is target creature you do not control phases out.
Oh,
Phase? Are they bringing
Yeah.
Phase back?
Yep. So it might be phasing coming back, and then its -10. Its ultimate is take 2 extra turns after this one. So I
interesting.
mean, he called it right on the Fires of Invention banning occurring on the 1st, which I don't think WotC announced this banning until like just a few days ago, like 4 or 5 days ago.
They announced
So this
it
was
a week prior.
okay, a week prior, but this was made 10 days ago. This rumor thread,
Mhm.
so it was like right before this. So he didn't even know. Like there was no way the public knew that there would be a banning announcement on the 1st, and then he also called the
Agent of Treachery.
companion errata.
Oh, the companion errata too,
yeah, paying 3 extra. So it looks like this is a pretty legit source. Like, I mean,
well, you heard it here first, folks. Well, I mean, also if you weren't browsing Reddit too. But damn, that's pretty fucking cool. I really hope they do bring phasing back because Core 2021 is supposed to be focused around Teferi in general, so that makes sense. But from what I understand, phasing was a super complicated mechanic, wasn't it? Because phasing wasn't necessarily leaving the battlefield. It's kind of like there, but not there. And when it comes back, it still has its counters or whatever, but
Stuff attached to it and all that sort of stuff.
it'd be interesting
That's
to
kind of
see
interesting.
how they incorporate that into Arena.
yeah, it's
Especially-
unfortunate. It's like target creature you don't control, because like I think it'd be sweet to like phase out, have the option of phasing out your own creatures to get more value out of your ETBs.
I thought that
Meh.
that isn't how phasing works. I thought with phasing you don't get ETB triggers because they don't technically leave the battlefield.
I thought they did.
I'm not sure. You'd have to look that up.
Sean?
I think it sticks around and continues to have all the characteristics of the card that it was. You know, like as in if you exile something, it's just going to go away. All the stuff's going to drop off it. But if it phases out, it's just like that thing is just it goes somewhere else, different zone, comes back same as it was.
They did bring phasing back with Teferi's protection, right? I think.
Sounds right.
Yep. That phases out your permanents.
Yeah,
It's a good card.
I'm looking that up right now.
But the
Phasing does not trigger any leave the battlefield or enter the battlefield abilities. A permanent that is phased out is simply treated as though it doesn't exist, unless some spell or ability is specifically looking at phased out permanents. So that's how phasing works. No ETBs.
damn. So the main thing I was gonna take from this though was like, if this person isn't in R&D and he has this information and he's spoiling it like 10 days in advance, think about what that means for the secondary market and also what that means for like tournament integrity. Like if these people know that these cards are coming in the pipeline like weeks in advance from other players, how much of an advantage does that give them to formulate a hypothesis on what a metagame could be and what to prepare for? Like,
we've dealt with that for a long time. I mean, like the most recent egregious example that I can think of was War of the Spark, Karn the Great Creator. Before Karn the Great Creator was spoiled, the card that it comboed with, was it Mycosynth Lattice?
yep.
Yeah,
Spiked.
Yeah, it spiked super hard. It went up to like $30, $40, $50 weeks before Karn the Great Creator was even spoiled. And then once Karn was spoiled, everyone realized it, and then it just shot up even more.
Yep.
I heard also like watching Rudy on the YouTubes that Jace and Forcible were going to be in that Double Masters thing as well. He had like some random tip off on that one.
Yep. That's what they've been saying.
I
Which
like
I'm
Forcible.
for. I would love them to reprint more of those cards.
Absolutely.
Drive that price down. But
And see, that's what they're trying to tap into, I think, is like all that value that's in the secondary market. Because like all those super high prices, when they go down and people are like getting more of them into circulation, that's specifically by buying, their boxes, by buying boxes of whatever masters or double masters or modern masters in this case, or in the last case. Like modern masters, or excuse me, not modern masters, but modern horizons also was, man, that was a great set. I thought that was an excellent set for like what they were trying to do and what they were trying to introduce into various formats. Like I thought that was absolute gangbusters, and like the value of what you got out of it when you were cracking packs felt very good, even though the packs cost a little bit more. Like
you're talking about the first Modern Masters, right?
I'm talking about even actually first Modern Masters, second Modern Masters, and Modern Horizons. All I felt like they've just been absolute home runs in terms of value. Like the people that held on to Modern Masters boxes are like looking at an absolute gold mine right now. The people that had like even that cracked Modern Horizons, it felt so good to crack Modern Horizons packs.
That set was so bonkers, man.
I'll never forget, one of my favorite Magic memories of all time was when Modern Masters first came out. They were $7 a pack, but they didn't stay $7 a pack. They went up to $10 a pack pretty quickly. And I remember I went to this place called Vintage Stock over in Kansas City, and there was half a box left, just 12 packs, $120, and I really wanted to burn a hole in my pocket. So I bought all 12, opened all of them. Last pack, Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf was going for like $130 at the time. So
big time.
So I traded out for it, got $50. Went to another store. There was more Modern Masters packs, so I bought 5 of them with the $50 that I got.
Did you get another Tarmogoyf?
No, I got a Sword of Fire and Ice, which was a $50 card, so I made my money back.
Nice. It's always a feels good moment.
Yeah, like that's kind of the memory that I have of like these Masters products, and like I'm sure like a lot of players have memories with like similar Master products, like even like garbage ones like Iconic Masters or Ultimate Masters, or even something like Eternal Masters or whatever. But man, I don't know.
I think doesn't like Double Masters kind of show that they have so much reprint equity that they can just like throw it at us and just like, here you go, like take these cards. We don't care. Like
exactly, yeah. Well, also that, and it also could further imply that sure, Double Masters might be double the value, double the fun, but it could also mean double the amount of garbage limited rares.
Yeah. Please reprint the dragons from Kamigawa again.
Please put them in like
we need more
Masters,
Kega. Like that's my problem with it, man. Is I wish in the rare slot, because like rare now is basically what uncommons used to be. I wish they would make rare feel rare again. Like instead of make America great again, can you just make rares feel rare again?
Uncommons feel like mythics from like 10 years ago nowadays.
I mean, like, why can't we have cards that are like Celestial Colonnade be reprinted at rare? Because I don't feel like that card should be anywhere close to what it is, and it just is what it is because of supply. Like that is the perfect card to reprint, and it would still hold its value. I think.
Imagine if a master set had those Zendikar Manlands, and then another master set had the Allied Fetch lands, and then the master set after that has the Scars of Mirrodin fast lands with like Blackcleave Cliffs and Seachrome Coast and those again. And the Copperline Gorges, right? Because those are going back up in price, and then the one after that, boom, the enemy fetches, and
I mean, frankly, like that's the exact reason that you stated previously, Nick, was I will not buy these sets just for that fact that like it is so hit and miss on whether your box comes up with the appropriate EV, and you could just get completely hosed. Like the swings are massive. Like I remember when Rogue Deck Builder was doing his box openings, and one box he opened was like almost $100 under the EV, and then the other was like $80 or $90 above the EV. Like that's a massive variants, man.
Christ.
Like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm good. I'll just go buy my singles on the secondary market if I have to, or I'll go buy them off the bootleg subreddit. Like, I ain't gonna do that shit.
That's what happened with me in Modern Masters 2015. That's the last Master set I ever bought, and that's where my relationship with it ended. I bought one box. I got an Emrakul, two Daybreak Coronets, a Fulminator Mage, and like a Primeval Titan, I believe. I think Primetime was in that set. But it wasn't enough for my box. I was still like $50-$60 short, and I was just like, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't even play half of these cards either. It's just like, I didn't need an Emrakul. I didn't need Daybreak Coronet because I don't play Bogles. Like, I don't need Fulminator Mage because I don't play Jund because I don't have $1,200 to build Jund. It's like I could have spent the $250 on building Jund instead.
Oh, you mean you don't want to spend like 3 car payments worth on a simple Magic deck for your hobby? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Where are your priorities?
Don't you want to? You could buy a
Give me
Nintendo Switch, or you could spin the wheel,
Or you could just build like a whole entire computer. Like,
or you could spin the wheel. What do you want to do?
yeah, it's messed up, man. This double masters, I don't get it. Like,
I hope it's stacked, man. They better make it stacked. So, like you're saying, there's not as much variance with the value on it. Like when you crack it, you should be able to get your value out of the box. Like
They'll sugarcoat it with some bullshit. Like they already said, there's going to be double the amount of rares, so it's like twice the chance of
mythics. Do like they've done with the Coria layers or
twice the amount of foils. So it's like, it's all facetious, like bullshit. Really, they're saying the right things to the right people. The whales that will buy the garbage no matter what. And for the rest of us who are just like, whatever, we'll believe it when we see it, and then, a few of us will buy some packs here and there, they're probably betting on that, really.
I think you're right. I think you nailed it right there. Because that sounds like I mean, that's kind of how I operate in terms of acquisition, is like, okay, how do I make back my money? Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, now how do I turn a profit? Okay, that's all I'll do next. Like, first I'm focused on like just, breaking even, and then how do I turn a profit next? Like maybe we as the lower rung on the totem pole of premium players are how they actually turn a profit, and the whales are what just keep the company afloat.
Yeah, exactly. The whales are what keeps the lights on, and we're the icing on the cake.
Yeah, maybe.
Fucking
messed up, man. It's messed up.
All right, well, before we end it, I guess we'll end on a more positive note. McBee,
right.
You wanted to talk about some cheap arena decks that you're a fan of and that you would like to share.
Recently, I have been playing some, like I was telling you about that mono red deck. The one with that banneret card and what's the name of the companion? The 5 Kazagosk companion?
Abash.
That deck is awesome. Big fan of it. There's also it not quite as good now that they've made the changes with companion, but Cody Lindenbach from Portland made this really, really neat and resilient like an aristocrats style deck with mostly commons except for the Luris card, and then like some godless shrines, and it's amazing how much a pile of commons and uncommons can just drown your opponent out. Or that deck that's like get a gingerbread man or the lifelink hawk into play and just armor it up.
Oh yeah,
like super fast. That deck is like the standard version of Bogles with like lifelink attached to it, and it's crazy how those decks can just absolutely tax out the really expensive or the really like intricate fires decks and stuff like that, or just like the mono white deck has a decent matchup against the mono red deck that's popular among people trying to climb the ladder and stuff. So there's a lot of really like low budget stuff that's out there on Arena right now that's pretty fun, or at least will be fun for the next couple of days while fucking not Commanders, companions are still legal. But even at that, I think the companion rule is pretty cool, and that the Luris card is still just busted. That thing is a crazy engine.
I have on Arena. I haven't played Arena in like a month and a half. But if I were to fire it up again, the most complete and the most quote unquote competitive standard deck I have would be like Blue Green Flash, and it's pretty much like I have all the cards for it. But
I loved playing against that deck, man.
Yeah, Blue Green Flash run is pretty cool.
It's
pretty cool.
It's fun, but it doesn't win enough for me. Like, I feel like I still get run over too many times, but maybe it's just because I'm not playing the deck correctly. But
it's a hard deck to play. I built it and jammed it, and I was like, wow, this deck is not easy to play. You really need to know your matchups and know when to pull the trigger on your permission.
Mm-hmm. The deck is pretty much built around 9-pack Ambusher, really. Like, most games that I've played, like, I've always assumed that Brineborn Cutthroat was going to be the winner, but it's the Ambusher that's always going to win you the game, no matter what.
Yeah, that Brine Throat Cutter guy is like, he's a removal
magnet. Yeah,
like he's something you have to like make your opponent stumble with, and then you just come over the top of the Ambusher.
Mm-hmm.
Cats.
And I've been trying out the new one from Ikoria, the Dimir hybrid flash one that makes all your other flash stuff cost 1 mana less. So that way I could I changed the deck a little bit more around it. Like I took out some Brazen Borrowers and I added in more like Omens of the Sea and whatnot to kind of play around it, but
sounds flashy.
Yeah, I think I might go back with the Brazen Borrowers, but I may end up cutting that 2-drop altogether just because the 2-drop slot is like really important in that deck, and I sometimes would rather just play Omen of the Sea instead, or hold a Negate up, or an Essence Scatter, or whatever.
Have you looked at the spoiler for the new set very much yet?
Ikoria, no.
Okay. I was gonna want to try to get each of your guys' takes on like your favorite cards from the new set.
I mean, like the standout cards that I've had an eye on is like that Flash, the Dimir Flash guy. Not the Slither Wisp, but the double blue, double black guy. I like the Godzilla cards. I think my favorite like card in general in the set and that I want to play with, and I'm actually going to try it in this blue-green flash deck, and I might end up changing it to a mono-blue flash deck to build around with Sea Dasher Octopus, is Pouncing Shore Shark. It's an uncommon with Mutate.
That card sucks.
That card sucks?
It sucks.
You think it sucks?
The Octopus is great.
So you like the Octopus, but not the Shore Shark?
Shore Shark doesn't do it for me. Shore Shark feels like it should be Cryptic Command. It isn't. Sir, you are no Cryptic Command.
All right, I'll have to take your word for it then, I guess.
Octopus is great though, because you're like Sailor Guy, Octopus, attack you, Ninja Octopus it in, and then it's like draws you all the cards. There's a enchantment also that is just like Coastal Piracy. It's just like whenever a creature you control deals damage. Deals combat damage and you draw a card. I like that card. I think it's interesting in the format currently, and it cycles for 2. That's like big as much as you can ask for. Am I talking like a robot again?
You were for a second, but you're back.
It's an interesting card also, but the mono blue deck that you're talking about does look pretty fun. I'm telling you, man, the Cody Lindenbach guy, I really have to give it up to him. That black-white Aristocrats deck that he made.
Do you have like access to it right now? Like, would you be able to?
I wish I had the list in front of me. I know it plays a bunch of Scorpions. It plays like the.
He played in a tournament.
Yeah, he did it. He played it for the Open that happened this weekend. And he said he 7-0'd into day 2 of the arena thing that was going on this weekend for $2,000.
Let me see if I can find it. Oh, never mind. Not come up on a Google search.
I'm looking it up right now. Well, I looked up Cody Lingelbach. Okay, well, here's his Twitter. Maybe he posted it on Twitter.
I'm really excited to play with the ultimatums in Commander and possibly even Standard. Who knows? I think
cool.
it's nice to see like ultimatums be good. Like these new ultimatums, some of them are pretty
Which one
busted.
is the best one out of your guys'
opinion? Ruinous Ultimatum, destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control.
Oh yeah, that's like a Mardu Cyclonic Rift, kinda.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, have we ever seen that effect be printed for Commander like reasoning?
That card versus like the Tamir one or whatever. Like that card is so good. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, like someone goes off with the Tamir one, and you're like, "All right, good. That's great." Ruinous Ultimatum, they're all dead.
Yeah, destroy all your permanents.
and the great thing is, like, you can keep doing it if you can like regrow it somehow. Like, it doesn't exile. Like this Teamer Ultimatum exiles when it resolves.
So good.
Like what is this? Orzhov? No, it's what's junk? What's the new term for junk?
Abzan.
So return any number of permanent cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Well, that's great in Commander.
Yeah. I like
Commander
card. Inspired Ultimatum, you gain 5, deal 5 to any target, and then draw 5. So it's kind of like a sort of like a
it's
Grixis
like
Ultimatum.
It's like it's almost like if you fused Sphinx's Revelation and Expansion Explosion together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think they're pretty neat. Like I would rather see them have these like large effects than kind of be mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mythos.
I mean, if you're gonna have the ultimatum name, you need to have a gigantic effect.
Yeah.
Ooh, I found the deck.
Hit us.
What's the deck?
The deck is 4 Oven and 4 Cats.
Uh-huh.
And then 3X Hunted Witness, the Eidolon that has lifelink and you can sack it to give a creature protection. 4 Serrated Scorpions. 4 Cruel Celebrant, which is like a Blood Artist effect, basically. 4 Priest of the Forgotten Gods. And 4 Pride Mate.
Oh, Johnny's Pride Mate.
Yeah, you're looping Cat and making Pride Mate really big, and then using the Eidolon to make your Cat like come in for just a ton of damage in kind of grindy matchups, or against anything that you that's gonna have creatures in play like Priest of the Forgotten Gods and all your guys that just keep like making more tokens and coming back. Just gives you endless fodder, especially with like Luris as your homie over there as your 8th card. Like that just lets you have just basically infinite of these little guys, and triggers with Priest and triggers with Cruel Celebrant. Like, it's amazing how fast your opponent gets kind of like demoralized playing against it.
Does the deck lose a lot of potency now that it can't have a turn 3 Luris?
I actually was using it a lot of times, like after I ran out of like gas in my first run of all these dumb little creatures that were so low cost and bad that they made all your opponent's clunky like removal and their other stuff that they're doing like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Really bad.
Yeah, the meta was like super mid range there for a while, and like mono red like taxing the meta didn't really happen all that much. I don't think in like best of 3 games. It was more of a best of 1 like ladder up type deck. So it makes sense.
A lot of your creatures also return with or have like their stats are like a 1/2, or they die and then they make another creature, and trading off mono red with creatures like that.
It just like, grinds them out with attrition. It's just like nice removal. You're not getting through.
And then just like a little bit of life gain peppered in just makes it really tough for the mono red decks. And like some of the mid range decks, you just like go super wide on them, have a Cruel Celebrant in play, and then attack in for a bunch of damage and then just like sack off my guys.
Dude, I hate using a removal spell on like a 1-drop. It's one of my like if it's Goblin Guide, I'm fine with it, but like a 1-power 1-drop, it's like my pet peeve to like spend like 2 mana to kill a pesky 1/1. Like it's so annoying, man.
I play 2 Abrupt Decay and I just used one of them on a fucking token.
What's the name of that 3-drop that's got like power equal to like your number of red pips? It's like Devotion for red, and he like
Fanatic of Mogus. No,
is that it?
No,
Annex.
Annex, yeah.
Oh yeah,
That guy is so good. That card is so like perfect for like what red wants to do on like not only like a design sense in that it like goes wide and like basically forces your opponent to have an answer, or like they're gonna have to like just get wrecked because like even you can't really board wipe him because he just replenishes. But then like three is like the perfect spot, it seems like, because like usually the control decks, a lot of their like mid-rangey answers are at like 3 and 4. So like I don't know, I love that card. Like as much as I hated losing to mono red, I just liked the way, the style of that deck. I don't know. It was fun. I liked playing against mono red.
It's been good on Arena for a while, man. It's one of those things that you can just like
Mono red's been good since Amonkhet block.
Yeah. It should be though. I would argue that it's a good thing. They should always have like a budget deck of every color in their like design process. How do we make
I think you need a playable red deck in standard pretty much at all times. You need like a decent stompy blue or a stompy green deck, and you need like a decent like aggro red deck, so that way newer players have an easier way to understand metagames and everything. And
yeah, do you remember those like monocolored decks that they brought out in like I think it was M15 or something, where that was like they're a product meant for teaching new players how to play the game, and they were like I think one of them had like Liliana Planeswalker in it or something. I don't know, but they were really good. I thought those decks were good because they're monocolored. When you're brand new to Magic, you generally want to play one color, your favorite color, and then you like branch out into like your secondary color. And I don't know. I think the color, they're going a little bit nuts with the color pie, but it could be a good thing, like that white creature where they're giving white card draw now. Hopefully,
yeah. White needs another at bat here pretty quick.
Yeah, white needs value. Like there's just historically when you look at white, it's probably the worst color in Magic next to black now. Like I would maybe say red is like the third best now.
Yeah,
because like
blue
during
and then green, I'd say green is probably the best color.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Yep.
They made green superpower, like just OP. They're just like,
yeah.
What if we made blue have just bigger creatures? But we can't do that because that would break blue, so let's just break green. Got it.
It's actually like a pet peeve of mine right now with Standard is like, and their trend is like they keep on printing like busted Simic cards, cards that just have no business being really in a meta, but then they'll print like Oko, they'll print Uro, they'll print.
Hey, you guys like Primeval Titan? What if we made it blue?
Right. Like, what are they thinking? Like, give these effects and these like you don't give the same exact effect, but you give a similar power level effect to like white and red, or like red and green, like Gruul. I was looking at my cube cards the other night, and my Gruul cards are garbage.
Gruul's terrible.
like the Great Elf.
The best Gruul card we've had in like the past 10 years is like Rhythm of the Wilds, and like that's like Rhythm of the Wilds and like Xenagos God of Revels, and like I can't really think of any other outstanding Gruul cards off the top of my head in recent memory.
I think that god that just came out recently that like removes stuff and then adds mana and does damage.
Clothis or whatever.
Yeah, that card's pretty good. Like that's a good Gruul card. That's like still it's not.
I think the problem with some of these effects or these cards is they depend on other cards to make them good. Like Ren and 6 or whatever. You need to have an
Ren
engine with
6,
that.
Yeah.
Like Dragon Lord Tarka or whatever is like a common thing in Cube that people like to have, and it's like you need to have a lot of ramp and like a lot of value to make that like really do anything. And it just seems like a lot of
You
these
have
cards
better bombs to play than Dragon Lord Atarka.
Right. It's just none of them are very good on their own, and just it's like I would just rather not play red green. Like I don't know. I'm sick of seeing all these busted Simic cards being made. It's like give that power level to another color for once, please.
Give like Orzhov some love or something.
Yeah.
Fuck. I mean, like they got like Othakaya, which was really cool for like 3 or 4 months,
and then basically just turned into a fucking blue card.
Yeah. I remember when Orzhov was great back in like the Innistrad days. You'd play like your Intangible Virtues and Lingering Souls and Sorin and just fucking destroy people, but I don't know. It just seems like nowadays, maybe it's just by design. Maybe they realize that the color combination of blue and green is probably the most popular color combination by far, especially in formats like Commander, where Commander is arguably the most popular format of Magic now.
Oh, that's a good argument for why green has been accelerated to a better color.
Because they realize green is the best color in Commander, so they're just like, fuck it. We might as well give blue a competitor, I guess, at this point.
Do you think it would be in their best nature to break away from the color pie? Like this whole like red needs to be linear and like blue is about card draw and all this bullshit. Like, do you think they should just like completely break the color wheel and go away from that? Because
if you ruin the identity of the colors, you kind of ruin the identity of the game. Because I feel like that's why the game is as strong as it is, because it has 5 core things that the game is trying to do all at once, and between those 5 core things there's all the different multicolor interactions and the colorless and everything. And now like green is a lot more in line with blue, so the definition of those two colors are starting to become more blended, and if it continues to push that way in the next 5 to 10 years, you could ask someone the definition or what's the difference between blue and green, and
I don't know.
they'll only say like green has big creatures. That's the only difference.
Blue likes to counterspell things.
Yeah, blue likes to counter things, and green likes to play big creatures, which has always been the case. But those will be the only discernible differences between the two.
Whereas like white, it's like, what's the difference between like white and red? And like you probably just say direct damage.
Yeah, exactly.
And like maybe prevention.
And red has a lot of card filtering nowadays. Like I like the evolution. I like changing colors and how they do things. Like red has a lot more, like ever since they got like Faithless Looting, they've been getting a lot more like interesting things like Wild Guess, Cathartic Reunion, Tormenting Voice, Chandra Pyromancer, the 4-drop Chandra from Kaladesh.
Red.
Experimental
that's why
Frenzy.
I said red's probably like third now, because you're going on this long list. Dude, do you know how many of those cards were like almost either banned or almost banned in your Kaladesh environment meta? Like, I shoehorned like so many cards from that era into my cube. They were just like auto includes because they're so busted, like Bomac Courier. And I mean,
Courier is so good, dude.
So many good cards, man. And like white has had like Angel of Intervention. I don't know. I don't know, dude. It's just a joke, man.
Had and like, I mean, like
black too. Black's gotten the short end of the stick too, man. Black's garbage too.
Black's had some interesting stuff. They had like, they get like Murderous Rider and like Hero's Downfall. I mean, like black gets the interesting black cards, but black hasn't really evolved too much as a color.
So much redundancy and like in those cards. Like I had Hero's Downfall in my cube forever, and then now it's Murderous Rider, and it's like, can you give us something else besides just like kill stuff? Like black isn't all about just killing shit. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, for them it's just like black is all about killing things, sacrificing creatures, or paying life for value. That's all black has ever really been, and it's. I kind of wish that they would like work on that a bit more. Like work on black and white. You know, let green, blue, and red chill for a minute. They've had their time in the sun.
Yep, I agree.
Bring colorless back. I want to see wastes in standard again. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a colorless set again.
And all of a sudden, colorless has become a better color than black.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at some of the like when you compare like Reality Smasher and Thought Knot Seer to a lot of the other, like those cards have had a bigger imprint in the past 5 to 10 years than a lot of white and black cards have. So, I mean, those colors they kind of suck. I mean, like the best black card we've had in a long time is like Fatal Push, right? Like that's got to be it.
That's got to be it.
Oh.
The format where some of that stuff shines finally though is Pauper. You get some good cards from white and black, and some good like
Omnixlus's Cruelty sees a bunch of play in Pauper. It's like arguably the best removal spell in Pauper now.
And like Phyrexian Rager, just a good old fashioned, 3 mana.
We got a new version of that in Ixalan, the 2-drop version of Phyrexian Rager.
Oh, really?
It's Zealous something. It's 1 in a black, 1/1 vampire. ETB, you draw a card and lose a life. So it's like Rager, but 1 mana cheaper, and it's common.
Pretty good shit.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And there's another spell that came out recently that I saw that got paired up with Mystic, that land card out of Throne of Eldraine.
It's Deprive and Mystic Sanctuary, I think. So you can just recycle it over and over again. Yeah, dude.
So good, man. That's a good loop. That's
good clean living right there, boy.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. Just like get the lock on your opponent.
I'm just gonna rebuild a mono blue Delver deck and just jam the Deprives and Mystic Sanctuaries in there.
And then there's a card out of like Amonkhet or something that's like draw 2 cards and discard a card or return a land to your hand. Like, yes, I will gladly pick up Mystic Sanctuary and then replay cards. That common land cycle was a good one out of Throne of Eldraine.
Yeah, I've always loved landfall mechanics.
That's real good.
Like landfall is one of my favorite, probably like evergreen-ish, like underpowered mechanics they've ever made.
Get rewarded for doing what you're already doing.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
They bring it back every once in a while, but not like as literal landfall, but like in the text of whenever a land enters the battlefield, do this thing. Like what's that Nissa card that I played in Commander against you guys a week or so ago. Her ultimate is you get an emblem with whenever you play land, draw a card.
Oh yeah.
And then there's that. I think there's an enchantment in Magic Origins, I believe. It's like 4 mana. It's like Zendikar's Royal or something like that, and you play a land, and I think it makes a creature for you, or you draw a card. I'm gonna have to look that up now. But they bring landfall back every once in a while, just not in its literal form.
And they need to do that more often. That's an excellent payoff.
Mm-hmm.
You're already doing it, man.
Oh, Zendikar's Royal, 3 in double green, enchantment. Whenever a land ETB is created, 2/2 green elemental creature token.
Man, I've been like thinking that over my head, and I think you nailed it with like them printing standard cards with Commander in mind.
Oh
like,
yeah,
for green at least.
Oh yeah. That's another thing that I was thinking of is like maybe they don't care about burning out standard players because maybe the rotation has changed to where the classic rotation used to be I'll play standard. Once I get bored of standard, I'll play a little bit of limited or then modern and legacy. Maybe now the dichotomy is I'm getting bored of standard. All of my friends are playing Commander, so I'm just going to go play Commander, and I'm going to go buy all these secret layers and get my special one-ofs of all these cool Commander cards. Like, maybe that's what they're doing.
Did you buy any of the secret lair?
Fuck no. No. God, no. Don't ever ask me that question again.
No. They're coming on Tuesday.
I'm offended.
Yeah. Somebody bought it for me, obviously.
I buy proxies. Why would I ever buy a secret lair?
Proxies.
I could buy cooler looking proxies, like that site that you showed me, Sean. I got a cart set up of a bunch of storybook promos of foils, and I got a Force of I got a Cyclonic Rift that was formatted in 5th edition text with like some old ass looking art, and it looks sweet. It's super cool looking.
Interesting.
That site is
Plug
awesome.
the site. Plug the site.
Mythicblackcore.net, I think. Let me pull it up. Let me pull up the site right now.
Man. He's quite an artist, that man.
How much are they per proxy?
$1.50.
Oh, is that it? Oh my god!
You got to get at least $15 worth, I believe. But you can also print it off of the site. But you can pay him money and he'll print it and send it to you. Yeah, it's called mythicblackcore.com.
Nice.
And you can print it off the site by yourself if you want to.
Some of the design of it too, like it looks the way I wish some Magic cards would. Like if they were going to do special formatting on stuff, they could gladly do like some cool, like Zendikar style stuff or Ixalan style lands, like those map lands that I showed you guys that are like lands that are in kind of like Ixalan style. They're so cool looking. Like Magic really has a lot of neat aesthetic to it, and I think they could certainly explore it a little bit more. With like all the reprinting that could be done with various cards. There's lots of different ways they could do it, and storybook and that like map style border that's on a lot of those cards from like the Ixalan stuff that flipped over into lands. They're just super sick. I really like that bordering style. It looks great.
I do like how
it looks really good.
They experiment with all that kind of stuff, and I wish that they would have like taken more advantage of it. Not the Mythic Blackcore, but Wizards of the Coast. Now, to be fair, they kind of experiment with these weird ass borders all the time and stuff, and I'm glad that like people like Mythic Blackcore are kind of like taking advantage of that and are like, instead of kind of taking advantage of the demand for proxies because people don't want to pay $30 for a land or a Cyclonic Rift or whatever. This kind of provides, like, instead of getting cards that look exactly like their real counterparts to be subversive, instead you get like these really sweet looking proxies that will just like catch people's attention and will be like a conversation little piece or like an icebreaker or something.
Yeah,
that's what I really like about it.
Sean, do you remember when they brought out the modern card frame and how we were like freaking out about it?
Oh yeah, were you guys thinking the sky was falling?
Yeah, we thought Magic was dying. We're like, oh, look at what they're doing.
That was like 8th edition, right?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Nerd.
Dude, were you guys then? Like 15 or something?
I don't remember. Probably like 19 or 20. But what'd you say, Sean?
I was when my dad stopped collecting Magic cards.
Oh, really?
Like, none.
Fuck this.
Cards anymore.
This is the Magic I recognize.
I like the modern card frame more now, and I don't know if that's just because I'm used to it, but like
it just
when
looks better.
Yeah, when I play Cube, I'm like, I can't stand when I've got like an old school like natural order or something, and I'm like, ew, this is. I need uniformity. Like, I can't stand it.
I like Mirage, that thicker border that's like 7th and Mirage, and like obviously old like Beta and stuff like that looks super cool. But
yeah, I like old ass Magic cards because they look kind of janky and like a lot more like impassioned and just like there's a bunch of fucking nerds that are making this game and they're just doing it for the fun of it. When you compare it now, and it's just like these are marketing machines.
Absolutely, like they're professional artists. People that are professional on a level that went into the digital era.
Right.
Like so much stuff is done on computers these days.
And you compare it to like old cards, like I don't know, like Blood Moon or Great Shark or something, where it's just like a super basic card, but with like also simple art that's also impactful and gets the message across. And then you have weird ass ones like Invoke Prejudice, which is like literal KKK members.
Except for like Susan Van Camp, and there's all weird, sexy like elves and stuff in it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, dude. Or what was the Earthbind, where it's like a fairy woman that's like BDSM to the ground? It's just like, oh yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry about it, guys. This will go over well.
And then other stuff that's just like,
or that blue card where it had the guy and like the huge hole in his head and like the yeah. God, that art is sweet.
There's that one card that's just like 2 eyes in the dark, and that's all it is. Black field and then like 2 little eyes, and somebody got fucking artist credit for that. Joseph Mersefolk or something.
I think one of my favorite ones is All Hallows Eve, and it just like some sort of stock photo of like random Halloween icons of like a pumpkin and a cat and something else. It's fucking old magic, man. All right,
I'm looking up.
What's that?
I'm looking up the magic.
Was it Dark Phantasm? I want to think it's Dark Phantasm. I think it was a card from the Dark.
I think it's like a card.
What does the card do again?
Oh,
He's just thinking of the artwork. It was just like a pitch black canvas with like just 2 eyes like staring at you. Like it almost looked like a big ass cat of like cat eyes looking at you. It was
Where your magic card go? The Wikipedia didn't have it.
I'm looking it up on Google Images now. I typed on MTG card 2 eyes.
At the end of the episode. So bad.
We're just dragging this shit on. Dude, people don't listen this far anyways. And if you are listening this far into the podcast, first off, thank you for dealing with us. And also apologies for dragging this on and possibly long. But we need to find out because I'm interested now. I have to see what this card is. I see a card with Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, and it's got googly eyes on it.
Ulamog.
I wish that they would go back to that setting and make new like whatever those things are, the spaghetti monsters.
The Eldrazi?
Yeah, new Eldrazi's. I love that set.
More Eldrazi. I thought the Eldrazi in Battle for Zendikar and Oath of the Gatewatch were way better than the first time around. But that's a scalding hot take on my end because I know a lot of people are more favorable towards the first generation of Eldrazi. But
what was the name of that Eldrazi that you whooped our ass with in Commander? It was like an 11-drop Eldrazi that was like
Kozilek.
Kozilek?
Yeah, Kozilek the Great Distortion, my colorless commander.
Man, you whooped our ass with that thing. What did it do again?
So it's it's 7 and double colorless, or 8 and double colorless, or a 10/10 or an 11/11. I can't remember, but and it has menace, and when it enters the battlefield, draw up to 7 cards in your hand.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. You went like hands free. You're like, all right, resolve my general. Me and Sean are just sitting there looking at each other like, why did we fight each other so much?
Yeah. And then boom, I'm gonna draw 7 cards, and then not only that, but also has counterbalance stapled onto it. So it's just like, yeah, go ahead and cast whatever. I'll just counter it.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was so fucking awesome.
That card is sweet. I love the new generation of Eldrazi.
Word of command.
Word of command.
Yep. Word of command.
Okay, now I have to look it up, and I'm gonna pull it up here
and choose a card from it. You control that player until word of command finishes resolving. That player plays that card if able. While doing so, that player can activate can activate mana abilities only if they're from lands that player controls, and only if the mana they produce is spent to activate other mana abilities of lands the player controls, or to play that card. If the chosen card is cast as a spell, you control that player while the spell is resolving. My God.
What a fucking...
I couldn't even
wow.
meaning out of those words.
This is a $20. This is a $20. No, this is a $100 card because it only came out Alpha Beta Unlimited and then as a gold framed card, right? Yeah.
Jasper Mirrors Folk, by the way. I keep calling
that rules text looks like someone just threw up.
It looks like absolute word salad.
Yeah.
The player plays that card if able. While doing so, the player can activate mana abilities only if they're from lands that players control, and only if... What is this card supposed to be representing? And why is the art so not related at all to the effect of the card?
That's what I'm saying, man, is this guy got paid money to just take a black piece of paper and put eyes on it and sign his name. He probably got paid hundreds of dollars for that.
You think? That was an Alpha Beta Unlimited. So
I think so.
So they probably didn't have a lot of money back then. Which is probably why it was just eyes, because they're like, I don't know, just fucking... It's a $10 drawing. Just put eyes.
Is this like the first concept of Mindslaver?
Yeah, I think so.
But in like a super minuscule way?
Yeah.
Like, it's Mindslaver with a grain of salt?
It's like Duress plus Mindslaver and like...
It's so bad. Like, haha, I used a card to make you use a card to kill your own creature, so I'm up a card. Got him.
Got him.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And we're also both confused because it took us 10 minutes to figure out what this card actually does.
Could you imagine having to reread that piece of shit to your opponent like once or twice? So you're like, wait, hold on, one more time. You reread it, and then they're like, hang on.
And you think you're confident in what it does, but your friend doesn't think so because neither of you actually understand what it is. So you're just back and forth. And you're like, can you just take it out of your deck, please?
That's one of those old fashioned. Just get the fuck out of here. We don't need that shit in here.
Just get it out. Like you don't have to go home, but you can't be here.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Fucking old magic. You know.
I know. You guys ever tried to read an Alphabet Unlimited card on weed?
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So, Sean, you would know this card. What was that land that you would tap it and like rearrange blockers, and it was so dog shit. It was from, I think, the Dark or Legends, and
Sorrow's Path.
Yeah, dude, it's so bad. I just read that card recently, like a week ago, and I was like, what were they thinking? This has to be a typo. Like, they had to have fucked up the file on this one and just left out a key word here where it's like, because it like, you rearrange blockers, but you have to have enough blockers or something on your side, and then they still deal damage, and you take 2 damage, and it's just like, what?
The card's basically like, tap this land, take 2 damage, make bad blocks, pass player.
Yeah, it's so bad, man. Like, they were seriously high on something when they made that card. And like, they're supposed to check the file after every set is designed, right? So like, the dude checking the file didn't catch that either, so he must have been drinking something that night too.
You know, that was the same guy probably that missed out on the in the like alpha beta set, so they were like, I'm sorry, dude, you gotta go. You fucked up too many times, you're done. That's it for you.
Well, we thought giving Skull Clamp +1 -1 would make it worse.
That must have been after they rehired him. Same guy.
Okay. Fair enough.
No, they first fired him for making Scheherazade.
Oh yeah.
I am so glad I never had to play against that card.
Here,
oh my god.
Pause the game. Start another game. Okay, the game's finished. Okay, you remember what happened to your previous game because you have to go back to it. Got it? Got it. Okay.
There was a like an argument being made when Planeswalkers were first made. Like the first wave of Planeswalkers were so busted, and like I think when Jace finally came around was when this argument started happening. It was like, are we all just playing Scheherazade games when someone plays a Planeswalker? Like, because it was literally just like I have to deal with this Planeswalker before I move on to like the next state of the game. Because like if you let an unanswered Planeswalker go unanswered for like a turn or two, it would just game over.
Yeah,
And
Garrick
so it was,
Wildspeaker.
Yeah.
You let him
Yeah.
out. Yeah, you don't
Yep.
put him in check. You're dead in like 4
Yep.
turns.
That's
Yeah.
a good reason why they had to make creatures a little bit better for a while too.
That's true.
Trying like, hey, we gotta. Okay, we can't like back out of planeswalkers because they're our new type. So we just got to make everything around it just a little bit better for a while to make sure they can deal with the threat that is the side game of planeswalkers.
And then they're
Free.
and then they're just like, well, I guess now our power curve is instead of spells, we're just gonna keep switching between planeswalkers and creatures. What's more powerful?
Not needed.
Oh, guess
Did they take damage off the stack back in that era too? Was that when they took it away?
They took damage off the stack back in 20, like somewhere between like 08 and like 2010, somewhere around there.
I think it was already gone by then.
I think M10 rules changed. They got rid of this damage on the stack.
What did you think about damage on the stack, Nick, when we were playing those old school decks? Did we even get into like a mongrel Psychotog battle?
Yep.
Oh,
No.
for shame. For shame.
I don't know if my brain would be able to handle it because I've never played with damage on the stack. So like, if I encountered it, I think I'd have a meltdown. I wouldn't be able to handle myself. It'd be like I was on acid and I'm having like an emotional breakthrough. That's what it would be like.
Math and then another set of math.
Yeah, exactly.
Twice math. Same cost.
Is that your final answer on that math? Yes, final answer. No, you lose.
Sorry, you lose. You're wrong.
I just wanted to play Magic. Wrong. You don't get to play Magic. All right. Well, at this point, I think we're going to go ahead and end the podcast. We are 2 hours and 16 minutes in. I think that's quite healthy. We've had quite a nice discussion. We went over pretty much all the subjects that we wanted to discuss. And next episode, I definitely want to talk about Arena more in depth because I have a lot of things that I want to say about Arena, both positive, but mostly negative. But we'll just leave that till next time. So thank you, McB.
Draft a little bit of Ikoria.
What's that?
Draft some Ikoria. It's a great set for drafting.
Is it? I played one free draft from Ikoria and I got my shit pushed in when the set first came out. But I'm terrible. I'm terrible at drafts, though. I'm garbage. I'll play Cube, but when it comes to drafting, like that's different because with Cube you don't have to think. You're just like, okay, what's the most powerful card? Got it. But with drafting, it's just like it requires experience and experience that I don't have. So
the beginning of it was a little bit rough, but once you like read a quick primer on what the decks are and what's out there and what people are kind of slotting into, it's pretty fun. It's a neat format, and a lot of people are like, "Yo, the cycling deck is so good, you just can't beat it," and that's just not the case. There's plenty of opportunities to beat cycling there, though there are some excellent cards, and it has kind of hints of old Type 2 in it. You can tell somebody played Astral Slide back in the day that put together that archetype.
I've always found that like the pros that just like state this is the best deck. Like if it's available, I'm drafting it. And then you watch the Pro Tour, like nobody drafts that deck, and it like the whole table is just like a fucking train crash of like nonsense. Like it's oh man.
People trying to outthink each other.
Never fails. Yeah.
All right.
Draft.
All right. I'll draft, but probably not. But I'll tell you that I will to make you feel better about yourself. Got it?
Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right.
That.
All right. At least I can be honest with you about it. All right. Well, thank you very much, McB, for joining us tonight.
Yep. You got it, man.
Thank you, Dan, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. And thank you for all the listeners that may be listening to the very end here. And if you are, what should they put in the comments section?
Is Clone Legion an asshole card in Commander?
Okay, got it. Well,
You got
to talk
Say
about
bye.
Clone Legion and Commander. And Kitten Butt. Look at that kitten butt. That's a cute ass kitten butt. All right, guys. That's been the Man of Dorks podcast episode, whatever. I lost count. Anyways, my name's Stacy Snackies. You all been wonderful. And I'll catch you on the flip side.
Goodbye.